One tool, dozens of possibilities. We call it the inspector, but maybe we should call it Inspector Gadget. The inspector is a nifty, multifunctional tool that can help you do lots of different things. I've divvied these things up into 3 sections to help keep things organized. So let's take a peek at them one by one. First off, arranging, stacking objects. You might want to stack ready-made elements for easy use in collaborative exercises and reflective thinking. If you're teaching math, for example, stacking objects can easily turn your canvas into a bona fide virtual abacus. Here's how. All you have to do is select the inspector tool right here, then select all of the objects that you would like to align. And as you probably noticed, there are 3 tabs here in the inspector tool. So we're going to go to the Arrange tab, and here you can choose from a variety of ways depending on how you want your objects to be aligned. So say for instance, if I select Align Left, all of my bananas over here have now stacked. And if I want to separate them, I can now go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's as simple as that. In some cases, you might want to have elements on the canvas ready to be used, but hidden behind a kind of curtain. Using mathematical language, we would refer to this as the z-axis, which sounds fancy, but all that really means is your canvas is not just 2-dimensional, but has depth you can utilize too. Let me show you what I mean. So basically, this is all about managing the different layers of your canvas, because your canvas, as I said, doesn't necessarily have to be 2-dimensional, right? There are different layers. So if we wanted to show our students how plants grow, for example, we have our plant right here, but say we wanted to show the earlier stages of this plant's growth. So basically, we'd like to put it behind this layer at the bottom to show how it slowly emerges from the ground. So we can do that by once again selecting the inspector tool, selecting the object, going to Arrange, and then Send Backward, which sends it behind the front layer of our project, which in this case is the earth. So if we select the hand tool right now, and we move this plant, as we can see, it now slides behind the front layer of our project. So during our lesson, using the hand tool, we could describe the process of this plant's growth and slowly bring it out from behind that layer to show it reaching its full form. When your canvas becomes a little too crowded with large amounts of content, you might want to organize it into groups or clusters to show, by proximity, what goes together and what doesn't. Here's how to use grouping and ungrouping to move your content around. So say we have this equation right here, and we want to move all of it together and not just pieces, because that would get pretty confusing. What we have to do is we have to select our inspector tool, and this time we go to the Edit tab of the inspector tool. Then we select all of the elements that we want to move, like this, tap Group, and now this entire equation is one big element. So if we were to use the hand tool, we move the entire equation together wherever we like it to be on the canvas. Here's the fastest way to create a group of similar elements. So right here, for instance, I have 5 apples, but say I want to have 10 apples. All I have to do is select the inspector tool, highlight all of the objects that I wish to copy, tap Copy, and then tap Paste. And as you can see, the amount of apples I had is now doubled, and I have 10 apples that I can move around my canvas. In some situations, you might need to mirror elements or flip them. The inspector tool allows you to do that too. So say for instance we wanted to change the layout of this project a little and take this guy and move him to the other side of our canvas. The problem is that he is now pointing in the wrong direction. So if we wanted to flip him around so he was pointing at the map, we would select the inspector tool, then the object that we wish to flip, and then we would select Flip Left, Flip Right, right here. And as you can see, he is now pointing in the right direction. You can also flip things up or down, so whatever way you need to arrange your object, the inspector tool will help you do that. Explain Everything lets you reuse objects, and by objects, I mean rich content such as entire groups of elements, videos, or anything you need really. Here's how to store materials you've created as clip art for quick and easy later use. So, to save entire elements or drawings you've created as clip art for later use, again, what we have to do is go to the Inspector tool right here, select all of the elements that we want to include in this clip art. So I'm going to go really wide here so that it catches the background and also the stars and everything. And then what I'm going to do is tap Add as Clip Art right here. And as you can see, that kind of wandered over to the clip art folder. And now if I opened a blank canvas, I would be able to add this entire picture in one go instead of drawing it from scratch like I did a moment ago. Take a look. So here we are on our new blank canvas, and if I wanted to add that solar system clip art I just created, I would tap Add Media, Clip Art, and select it from my custom clip art library, which is right here. And as you can see, it's automatically just appeared on my canvas in one go. That really saved a lot of time. Using motion can be really helpful when trying to convey certain ideas, especially ones about movement. Let me show you how the Inspector tool can help you with that. Say for instance, I wanted to show this car getting from point A to point B. Lateral movement would really come in handy here, right? So all I have to do is tap the Inspector tool, then tap the background and tap Infinite Scroll. These two bars have appeared here, and all I have to do is swipe to set the background into infinite lateral motion. I could also do vertical if I wanted, but for this demonstration, horizontal is definitely a better choice. Who would have thought that restricting object movement could be so productive? Well, it is. By locking lateral or horizontal movement, you can better control elements on your canvas, such as timelines or long rows of documents used for explanation. Here's how. Say for instance, I wanted to demonstrate what a collision between these two objects would look like, but I don't want my ball kind of like, bobbing around the canvas. I want to keep it, going like evenly across the surface that I've drawn here. So what I would do is again, select the Inspector tool, then I would go to the Lock tab, select the elements that I would like to lock, and here I'm going to choose Lock Vertical, because I don't want this element moving up and down, just evenly across the surface. And now, as you can see, even if I attempt to move up and down, it won't do that because I locked it, and it moves evenly across the surface towards the collision. Objects on the Explain Everything canvas can be easily resized. However, there are situations when you don't want that, such as when assembling tangram puzzles. When elements need to fit together in a certain way, you don't want them to change their size if you're using two fingers to rotate an object and accidentally use the pinch gesture and resize them completely. Let me show you how to make sure you don't do that. So here's a tangram puzzle, and in order to assemble it properly, we're going to need to, rotate the elements, move them around, etc. But as you can see, when I'm using two fingers to rotate, what's also happening is I'm resizing this object, and if I resize it, it's not going to fit properly. So let me just undo that. And what I need to do is make sure that the element stays the same size. So I'm going to go to the Inspector, then I'm going to highlight the piece that I'm interested in, and I'm going to lock scale. Once I lock scale, what happens is that now I can rotate however I want, and the size constantly stays the same. So that's really useful.